So these three problems are also to be done using shortcut method. They're called perfect square trinomials. So you could do the X factor method, but really they're shortcut problems because A and C are both square root. You can or perfect squares. You can square root x squared. You can square root 25. You can square root 16. You can square root 49. You can square root 4. You can square root 81. So as long as A and C are perfect squares, you can try the shortcut. And you don't need X factor. You really don't have to spend a whole lot of thought at all in it. So we have X and 5. The square root of 25 is 5 in number 1. And the 10 is negative. So both of our binomials will have subtraction signs. And then in number 2, the square root of 16 is 4. So it would be 4x. And the square root of 49 is 7. And then the 56 is negative, so they're both minus signs. So 4x minus 7 squared. And then in number 3, the square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of 81 is 9. And everything's positive, so those are both addition signs. And it's 2x plus 9 squared. So, super shortcut, super quick if you remember to do the square rooting method of factoring. And these three are all set up so that it works. Everybody wants to know about B. What about the 10, right? What about the 10? That didn't square root. What about the 56? That didn't square root. 36 just happens to be a square root, but the 10 is there. If I want to check 10, I do 5 doubled. Okay, if I want to check, what's the middle of 2? If I want to check 56, I'm going to do 2 times 4 times 7, and that equals 56. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 doubled, because there's 2 binomials, is that 56. And in this one, I need to check 36. Check the middle. So 2 times 2 times 9 equals 36. So when you multiply the square roots together and double it, you get the B. So the B is present in the problem. If you were to FOIL it or do the box method, you would see the B value. Any questions on factoring when you can square root? All right, let's look at an SAT question. Someone tell me 6th period that there was a lot of discussion about K. Like they kept saying K on the PSAT. And then a lot of people said they saw quadratic. So I pulled up this morning. It took me almost no time at all. I went to College Board. I pulled up practice tests. The very first practice test I pulled up, I found a factoring question, and it did have a variable called K, or a number K in it. So I'm emphasizing that it was the very first one I pulled up because the College Board has like 10 practice tests on it, and every single one of them will have a factoring question in it, and it'll be asking about one of the numbers involved. So I'll let you read it before I get into it. This is what people were seeing, things like this. I don't know the question. No one told me anything about the question, but they said that I thought there was K on the PSAT. Does anybody remember seeing K in a math problem? Yeah. So let's look at some.
They had like questions like that, and they would have K in it though, instead of like, and they'd be like, "What's K?" But they would have X and K. Yeah. There are a lot of them.
Right. Yeah.
There was one that was like, it was like 1.25. N was the product of
Well, I really don't want to know any specific details. You're not supposed to tell me like exact questions.
I know, but it was really, I didn't understand it at all. Like, if you could do a question sort of like that, could I explain it to you?
I don't know the legality of the wording, but not really. What you would do is go to College Board and look at practice tests and find them similar. Like just right now, oh yeah, practice test 4, number 20, practice test 6, number 8, practice test 7, number 10, and you bring those into me. I pull them up, put them up here, and we talk about those. You know, that's the way we're supposed to do it. Like, I don't know if people taking the PSAT today have that same problem. I don't know. I don't know the schedule. Maybe it was just given yesterday, so we could openly talk about it. But until we have, I don't do it. I don't talk about test questions specifically. The PSAT, yeah. So, and it's dynamic, it's adaptive. So the chance of someone else in here having that exact question, if you guys want to be honest with the room right now, who talked about questions with another student and you know you had the same question? Anybody? Okay, so that means we shouldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to. So I don't. I'm a real rule follower about most things. Are you trying to think about another way to word it without the exact number?
Yeah, I could do it without the numbers.
Think about it and write it down. Let's do this one first, though. This is a pretty good one. Okay, so we're looking at 4x squared plus bx minus 45. B is a constant. That's another thing people ask me, like, what is a constant? They say it in a lot of SAT questions because they have to tell you it's a number, not a variable. So they're telling you that there is a number here. That b is not considered a variable like x. It's an actual value. X can be lots of different things along the parabola, but b is one specific number. This just means it can be factored. So when they say it can be rewritten, all they're defining for you is that in case you're wondering, yes, it can be factored. Another thing they're telling you with all these letters is that they're different. So this number is not the same as this one. This one is not the same as this one. If J and K were the same, it would say K and K. So the reason there's 3 different letters here is because they're 3 different numbers. And it says they're integer constants. So we did talk about this word integer. Integer is not a fraction. And it is not a decimal. So they're telling you it's a number, not a fraction or a decimal. It can be positive or negative. Okay. So all of these words means this can be factored. And when it's factored, these are not decimals and they are not fractions. And they're saying, so which of these works? Go ahead and take a guess. Write a letter down. Write a letter down on your paper. Go ahead and take a guess. Does anybody feel pretty confident they know the answer? Anybody? You might know. You might know. Don't want to show it off. Okay. First off, B can be really complicated, so I'm not sure about A and B. Does 45 divide by H? H is here. Now we could go ahead and try like the X factor, right? And we could do 4 times negative 45 is negative 180. And then down here is B, we don't know. We need to multiply to negative 180. We need to add to B. And then we can also just try different possibilities, right? So we know in our first x's that it has to multiply to be 4, right? So maybe it's 2x times 2x. Is there any other situation that it could be besides 2 and 2? No. Yes. You guys hear what she said? She said it's definitely not 2 and 2 because this would have an H with it. That is SAT thinking. Yeah. All right, so right now we can go ahead and cross these out. It's definitely going to be x and 4, or it's going to be like maybe the 4x's first, right? So we know that h is either 4 or 1. Okay. So could we say right now that 45 divides by 4? No, so we can get C out of there. So let's talk about what we think could be in these second spots. In the second spots, we have to get to 45. So what are some possibilities to get to 45? What multiplies to 45? So maybe it's 5 and 9. Maybe it's 9 and 5. And it has to be negative, so we can just try some different things. What else? Yeah, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 3. And then maybe it's 45 and 1. So there's really only, 2 more possibilities. So when they're asking about B, I'm real hesitant about. I tried multiplying one of them and got B, and B led to me lots of different possibilities for B. Maybe just check one and see what B is. If you were using the process of elimination, this would be 4x squared minus 9x plus 20x minus 45. In that option alone, we have B equals 11. So 11 is a prime number. Do I think 11 is going to divide by 4? Or do I think 11 is going to divide by K? Probably not. Like B values are a little bit complicated. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of B values there. And then we've already said 45 doesn't divide by 4. So we've already kind of ruled out C. So let's look at D for a minute. Can D make sense? Would 45 definitely divide by these values in the K and the J spot? Definitely. They definitely do. These numbers have to multiply to be 45, like by the factoring definition. When you multiply these together, they have to be factors of 45. We're looking for numbers that will multiply to A times C, and a lot of times that is just C. So yeah, whenever you're putting numbers on the side of your X factor, they're always factors of 45. So this is always true. 45 is always divisible by K, and it's always divisible by J. Do you buy into that? So they can't ask you directly factor. And so they couldn't put A, B, C, and D and put these different options that I wrote out because people just work backwards and they foil it. And so they can't give you something so obvious because people will just, use a shortcut to figure it out. So that's why you see so many letters and different strategies. So did anybody figure out pretty quickly and can share your thoughts? No, did you figure it out pretty quickly? You didn't. Emily, did you figure it out? No. You were in it though. Anybody? Okay, so the long story short is that C is always divisible by these numbers because they have to multiply to create the 45. And then H and K have to multiply to create the 4, right? And that don't even worry about it when it says something's a constant. That just means it's a number. And don't even worry about it when you see lots of letters. That just means they're defining it. They're not all variables. So I'll try to bring in more. I mean, I like to put them on the quiz and test, but we should talk about them in class too. All right, on Monday, I think we did 1 through 18. You guys go ahead and open your books up to page 221 and let's check them. remember what we did? We were factoring and square rooting. 221. You had said quite a bit of class time to get it done. Can you see your shape? Oh yeah, I see it there. Okay, got it. Just put a pack over there. Okay, I'll just close it so you can find it. All right, here's the bottom half. So everybody remember, we rewrote it in factored form like we just did for bulwark. We square rooted both sides and simplified. And then the last step was all about the formula b over 2 squared. And then b over 2 squared creates a c value that's really helpful with rewriting. So b over 2 squared is that formula that makes a useful number so you can factor it easily. Yeah. Anybody want to ask a question about 1 through 18? Yes. Let's look at 16. Every time the b value is odd, and you do an odd number divided by 2 and square it, kind of resist making it a decimal, leave it a fraction. Because 9 over 2, just square the 9 and get 81, square the 2 and get 4. So 81 over 4 is the c value. And then for the factored, you just go backwards and square root. So instead of 4.5, square root of 81 is 9, square root of 4 is 2. So factored form has square roots. Just like in 14, our factored form had 12, the square root of 144. Square root your fraction and leave a fraction in it. And there are fractions throughout this section, so don't skip them. There will be fractions on the test, which is scheduled for November 4th, by the way. Who knows, if it'll get moved at all, but it's on the schedule. It's like still almost 2 weeks, I feel like, but tomorrow's Friday. So. Alright guys, we are going to put this all together in a process called completing the square. Here are the steps. These steps are required to be written down underneath today's bell work, so I'm going to check for them on October 23rd's date. It's just 4 steps, and then we're going to do 8 and 9 as examples, and then you'll be on your own for those. So, when you're asking me on October 3rd, how do I do this? I'm going to say go back to October 23rd. The steps are written there, and I'll ask you for those steps. So make sure you get these steps written. We'll give you a moment to read through them, and then we're going to do number 8. All right, I'm going to do number 8 on the screen. I mean on the board. All right, first up, I want to highlight, is there anything that if I did the X factor method that would work? Does anything multiply to 8 and add to -4? No, I'm thinking about 6 and 2 pretty hard, but 6 and 2 make 12, so 2 times 4. Yeah, that makes -2. So yeah, this does not work with the X factor method. That's why the whole process is here, for problems that X factor won't work for, so we can solve it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, since there's nothing that multiplies to 8 and adds to -4, I'm going to move the 8 out of there, and I'm going to put a better number in. So move C. I'm going to leave a big blank space where the 8 was. And I'm going to make sure I'm real conscientious about putting a blank space on both sides so I can put in the better C. The new C will intentionally be B over 2 squared. All right, a positive 4 will work a lot better in that spot than the 8 did. So I'm going to put a 4 in. And if I'm going to follow the rules of math, if I add 4 over there, I also got to put the 4 in on the right side. So we made a new C, something that's going to work out better. Now with the new C, I can actually factor this. So I can factor just like we did for bell work, 4 square root, and it can factor to be x minus 2 times x minus 2. And then over here, negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. Oh, it looks like this might have imaginary solutions, which is why we couldn't use the x factor method with it. Okay, so that means it's x minus 2 squared equals negative 4, and we'll solve it out by square rooting. Oh yeah, that's plus and minus 2i. The square root of negative 4 is 2i, and we have to use the plus or minus sign. Add 2, and that 2 goes before the plus or minus sign. And our answer is 2 plus 2i and 2 minus 2i. So that's why our flip book x factoring method won't work, because our answers are imaginary. We can still solve it, work with it, but it's on the lateral coordinate plane, not on the regular xy coordinate plane. Go ahead and try number 9. Just put the space in on both sides and do the b over 2 squared. So you can skip step 1. Is there no C at number 9? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Just to reiterate, this problem doesn't work. Nothing multiplies to 5 and adds to 8. So it's a no-go. We'll have to use a different strategy. This is called completing the square. Move C. Make a new C by doing b over 2 squared. The best possible number is 16. That's the best number to go next to an 8. There's no better number. Looks like that's our answer. All right, so then we'll factor it. X plus 4 equals 21. X plus 4 squared is 21. Great big square root. Don't forget the plus and minus sign. Do all of that. And we're at negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 21. Some people end up liking this better than x factor